Welcome to section 15 of the training. In this section, we will discuss the market condition known as the trend. In trading, you may have heard the expression, the trend is your friend, and it certainly can be. But if we don't understand trends thoroughly, their characteristics, their beginning stages, and the signals that launch them, then trends can become our worst enemy. So let's study trends and learn how we can become their master and they can become our friend. Just like fingerprints and snowflakes, no two trends are ever exactly alike, but they do share some common characteristics. So let's study those characteristics and see if we can learn to identify a trend in its early stages. This chart that you see shows an uptrend that started at about 1410 on our timeline. By 1515, anyone can look back and say, hey, we're in an uptrend. Well, the problem for most traders is that by the time they realize they're in a trend, it's over. So how do we recognize the earlier stages of a trend so we can get in early and take advantage of them? Well, first, trends are characterized by the market making a series of higher highs and higher lows for an uptrend, and we see an example of this uptrend here on our chart. Here are some consecutive higher highs. And here is a consecutive higher low. This is one of the most important characteristics of a trend. For a downtrend, we would look for consecutive lower highs and lower lows. So as price stair-steps with these consecutive higher highs, we will watch for price to move more than 5 points higher than the lowest point of the trend where it began. From where this trend began, at about 1104.50 in price, if the price stair-steps with consecutive higher highs and higher lows and reaches 1109.75 on this E-mini S&P chart, we will consider it to be a trend, and any signal going counter to this trend will be ignored as the first signal against the trend. There are certain conditions where we may take a first or second consecutive against the trend, but we'll discuss those in a later session. For now, we simply see that by 1448 on our chart, price has moved to 1109.75, and we are definitely in an uptrend condition by our definition. Now notice that we get an elbow type signal, a sell signal that's identified by the yellow arrow and confirming at about 1451 on our chart. Because we've already identified the market as being in an uptrend condition, we will ignore the elbow signal to short. Here's an example of a downtrend condition, characterized by the market making consecutive lower lows and lower highs. Price has been going sideways, and rather choppily at that. But the downtrend started at about 1325 as the market started its stair-stepping downward. This stair-stepping characteristic must be identified in order for there to be a trend. The stair steps are formed by the pullback of price, and these pullbacks must be confirmed by the DS. If price simply moves in a direction, even if it's for 6 points or more, but there is no stair step in price, then we do not have a trend condition. These are just considered market moves, and we can take a signal going counter to these moves as long as it is not choppy. In this example, the trend started with a high of about 1123. So when price breaks through 1118, we will have moved more than 5 points, and we will have a downtrend by definition. Here, at about 1418 on our timeline, we have a buy signal going against our trend, and we will ignore it. Here's another chart example. The black arrow identifies the point where price had stair-stepped with higher highs and higher lows, went more than 5 points, and became an uptrend. This black arrow identifies a sell signal, but since we are already in a defined uptrend condition, we do not take signals going against trends, and we will therefore ignore this sell signal. Now let's go over a simple checklist for trends. To identify the early stage of a trend, we look for the market to make at least one stair step. 2 or more stair steps are better, and they must be confirmed by the DS. Stair steps act as a glue, if you will, that hold trends together. The other thing to check on our list is for price to move more than 5 points. Now this 5-point figure is a guideline that works most of the time and can be adjusted somewhat depending upon the volatility of the market. If the market becomes more volatile, you may increase the 5-point figure accordingly. This concludes section 15 of our training. If any part of this section was not totally clear and fully understood, we suggest that you review the section again. If any questions remain, then please write them down and we'll go over those questions in the online portion of your training. If you think you thoroughly understood this section, then you can proceed to section 16.